Hey guys, welcome to the Chefpreneur podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Andres Hinojosa, and we go live on YouTube Tuesdays at 1 o'clock Eastern every single week. And you can also be listening to this after that on Spotify, Apple, anywhere that you get your podcast as well. So we're excited to have you guys here today. Today, we're going to be talking about what it takes to go from chef to chefpreneur, right? That shift in your mindset. So often when I'm talking to different chefs, as I'm really approaching everything in the sense of really understanding what people are struggling with, it's really interesting. A lot of chefs come to me; they'll start talking about finding more clients in their business. They'll start to talk about struggles with their tech struggles and that they can't really get on board with using tech properly, and they struggle in a lot of these areas. And honestly, that's definitely something that needs to be honed. It needs to have you need to put effort into it to get better at. But the biggest thing is really the mindset first. I've done so many videos and content about mindset. And the reason I talk about it is because no matter if you're just starting out a business, if you're not in a business yet, maybe you're still working for someone, maybe you're listening to this or watching this and you're not necessarily even a chef or in this industry, and maybe you're just tuning into this podcast, which we love you. But the fact of the matter is that mindset is such a massive approach to anything that you're going to accomplish and get done in life. And I think it really goes hand in hand, not only again in our professional lives in our business, but really in our personal lives. I think personally, I know we all struggle with certain areas of emotions in our mind going into negative cycles that is really hard to break from. And I want to really hopefully capture as much in this podcast today as possible when it comes to helping you kind of get away from some of these mindset ruts that you might be in and really start to enlighten you on some of the characteristics I believe that you have to possess in order to really change your mind and change and shift that mindset from, again, going from an employee or someone who is not a business owner and wanting to kind of go into, again, chefpreneurship as we call it, or even if you're watching this, go into entrepreneurship. um, First off, I want to just kind of give a very clear disclaimer that business in whatever regard is not easy. Okay. Business is never an easy thing. And so when you're looking at it from a standpoint of, I really want to get my business going, I really want to get started, I really want to start to move in the direction of having my own business and having freedom, um, realistically, it's not going to be easy. Okay. I'm just going to tell it to you how it is. And I've done other videos about this before where people are always telling me, Chef, I want more freedom. I want to be my own boss. I want to actually start working for myself, providing for my family, or really just really following my passion to really take my skills and my passion that I have and execute that in a business for myself. And I've done other videos regarding, again, mindset shifts and different things that you're looking at. But one of the biggest factors, other than, or I guess they would say that comes along with mindset, is really about a responsibility and accountability. Um, I use this quote very often, many, many times from Thomas Jefferson, one of our founding fathers. He said, with great freedom comes great responsibility. And we can't have the freedom that we want in our business without taking some level of responsibility and accountability for what we want in life and what is going on in our day to day life, right? The decisions we make have a huge impact onto where we go and what we want to achieve. And I've done other things such as defining success. I've talked about that on the podcast in the past, and all these things really add up. But again, the shift that you have to make, you have to go from someone who is really, as weird as it sounds, thinking about yourself to being a chefpreneur is thinking about others. Let me kind of dive into that. That's the biggest shift that I've learned in my career is When you truly want to be a chefpreneur or an entrepreneur, you have to change the shifting from going from your mind being all about you to your mind being focused all about others. Okay, in realistic terms, as an entrepreneur, as a chefpreneur, you are nothing more than serving other people. That's exactly what a business does. A business provides services, it provides solutions to problems. Honestly, entrepreneurship changes the world. Okay, there's a lot of inventors out there. There's a lot of people that have come up with great ideas, a lot of scholars, people that have crazy amounts of degrees. I am not one. But one of the things that I've realized more than anything else is it hasn't been the smartest people or the people that have the most knowledge that win and change the world. It's the people that have the drive and ambition to serve other people in a massive capacity. Okay, now I don't want to go way off basis on kind of our podcast today, but mindset again is so important when it comes into even understanding, I guess you would say, like when you get into the seat of entrepreneurship, of chefpreneurship, that shift in your mindset from myself to someone else has to be eminent right out the gate. And this is sometimes really hard for people to swallow because we're coming from, let's say, a 9 to 5 job, and you're there, and you work hard and you show up and you do your due diligence, you put the time in, you put the effort in. But realistically, when you clock out, when you go home, when you do whatever you got to do, you can really segregate the understanding of your employer or your job. You could separate that a little bit more from your personal life than as an entrepreneur. Now, I'm not going to get into, yes, like systemization and understanding how to set boundaries and work days and really how to be the most productive. That's probably another podcast that maybe I'll do about productivity and all that type of stuff. But it's really about the shift in the focus. I remember for me when I was cooking at a hotel, of course, I put a lot of effort in. I really dove into really wanting to make the hotel better and make sure the operations were up to par, taking care of my cooks and so forth and so on. But I have to admit something, and I'm sure that it kind of maybe it identifies with what I'm saying with you is we always have a little part where it's kind of like, well, that's not my problem. Certain things are not my problem in the sense of a boss or a job or your employer, right? Like you can segregate a little bit in your mentality that way. And so realistically, there's always a selfish motive in a lot of things that we do. Um, Subconsciously, I think as human beings, we always look at things from, unfortunately, a selfish way. Again, it's really difficult to really, I mean, I'm not calling all of us selfish, but there's a subconscious level where it's always we're asking the question, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? And the only way that I believe that a lot of us can transition from the mindset of being an employee to then coming into entrepreneurship and chefpreneurship is to be not selfish, but selfless, right? We have to understand that even as our company grows, we have to continue to pour into our team. We're continually serving our clients. We're continually serving our team. We're serving our partners. We're serving all these different people that really then basically exalts everyone but us. And what's funny is those are the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. Those are the ones that actually change the world. Sometimes we have leaders and we have people that are entrepreneurs that go into something, and yes, they start thinking about not only making the product better, but how to make more money, how to sell more products. But if you really look at what you're trying to accomplish with your service and really what you're doing as a chefpreneur specifically, you will start to learn that the more you concern yourself with your clients and the more you concern yourself with your team, it's kind of funny how the more your business will grow. Okay. Small mentality will kill you. It will absolutely kill you. If everything is someone else's fault, if there's tons of blame game, if there's tons of, well, I did this and it didn't work out the way I wanted to, and that person did me wrong and all these things. A lot of these things are true when we start running our business and operating our business, whether it's with team members, whether it's with coaches or consultants or people that help us out. But the real fact of it is that it starts with, again, you're there to serve others, and the decisions you make are going to be able to greatly impact your success. And if you always think about only yourself, you're going to be dead before you start. You're going to lose out. Okay. So really, again, the first step is shifting your mindset from basically a chef to chefpreneur is you have to stop thinking about just you and start thinking about other people. The second thing, realistically, is again, when you start doing that, the second thing is you have to be accountable. You have to understand that everything starts and ends with the leader. That is a phrase that John Maxwell uses, one of my favorite of all time leadership coaches. He always says everything starts and ends with leadership. And it's so true. Even in our own lives, as we're looking at our personal lives, we're trying to navigate certain issues that we have. We're navigating problems. We're navigating basically tough experiences in life. And what happens? Well, are we leading even ourselves well? Are we looking at ourselves as responsible and accountable? Are we holding ourselves accountable? This is anything in life, more so in business, because really your personal life, if you have to start with being accountable for you first, because that's the only person, by the way, you can always control. Like, you can't really control anyone else. You can't control your team members to a degree, right? You can't really, you can set boundaries and expectations and all that, but you can't crawl into their skin and basically control them. The only person you can control is yourself. And so you have to learn how to have accountability. And it's really difficult. It is really difficult. Yes, you have to do things what's good for the organization and for your business moving forward and make the right moves. But any moves you make, you have to own those decisions, whether good or bad. You have to own those decisions. You have to be accountable. That's the second thing. The third thing, when shifting your mindset, so again, I really feel like these are just three core things that you can really exercise to start to shift your mind. So again, the first one we talked about, stop thinking selfishly, start thinking about others. Secondly, be accountable, be responsible, right? Accountable for all of the decisions that you make. And the third is you have to start thinking bigger. You have to start thinking bigger. The impact that you can have in regards to where you are, the struggles that you go through, the pain that you've experienced are all testimonies to people that you can share and uplift and think bigger and impact. I always look at thinking bigger now as bigger impact. I used to think, to be honest, it was bigger money, bigger house, bigger material things, more material things. It's all about impact. Impact. For those of you guys that don't necessarily follow us, maybe you're tuning in for the first time or you've heard some of my podcasts in the past, I am very outspoken about my faith. My Heavenly Father is number one in my life. And I always think about the impact that Jesus had when he was on earth. He had massive impact. And it wasn't about how many houses he had. It wasn't about how, great of possessions he had. It was about impact. And if we translate that into business, just for an example, like take any company like Apple computers, right? Like most of us have iPhones. I'm an Android guy myself, so team Android, but most of us have, again, these cell phone devices, these smartphones that we have, right? They're a crazy computer in our own pocket. Well, when you think of Steve Jobs, he was really obsessed, again, about the product. He was obsessed about how good the product was, about giving people information, about giving them connectivity, basically beyond their wildest dreams at the time. Think about the impact that has even to this day, long after he's gone. I know we take it for granted now, a phone, but there's so much impact that comes from our smartphones. If I'm all the way in another country in Africa or any part of the world, and I want to talk to my 5 beautiful daughters or my beautiful, amazing wife, I can literally grab my phone and video call them from pretty much anywhere in the world and say hello and connect with them and blow them kisses and love on them. That's impact. That is impact. What am I willing to pay for that impact? Okay, now I'm not going to get into sales, but it all kind of flows together. And so I always look at these three things when we start shifting our mind from being a chef to a chefpreneur, or even an employee to an entrepreneur. Is you really have to understand, I believe, these three principles. You have to be selfless instead of selfish. You have to be accountable, and you have to look at a bigger impact. When you do these things, your mind, it's really hard to take negativity and cram it into your brain at that point. Because if I'm not thinking about myself and I'm thinking about others, it's hard for me to be negative in my own mindset. It's hard for me to sit there and just, dwell into my, stinking thinking, right? If I'm accountable, I'm also not then blaming other people. I'm able to be set free from that. And I'm starting to hold myself responsible and accountable for my actions. Okay. And third, if I'm having a bigger impact, if I start thinking on a bigger level as far as impact goes, well, again, it ties in with being selfless with ourselves and with other people. And again, accountability. It really starts to position us to truly lay the foundations. It's funny. If we think of our mind like a home and there's a big old door at the front of it, right? When you open up your mindset to receive and truly start to capture the essence of what I'm saying and really download that into our brain, I truly believe that, again, the transformation already starts to happen, and information that is put in, it becomes very powerful, everything from there on out. It's like, well, then it's like, what skills do I need to learn? Well, what skills do we need to learn? Like, well, let's write them down. Well, yes, I need to learn how to market myself. I need to learn how to sell my services. I need to learn how to, do bookkeeping possibly. I need to learn how to be better administratively. I need to learn how to manage tech in my email and computers better because, maybe you're feeling like you're frustrated and you're quote unquote an outdated person that struggles with technology. But if you really put other people first and you feel that your product or service really can help deliver a greater impact, really truly people want and people need, then it's kind of like a no-brainer for you to say, I have to learn these things. It's not optional for me. I have to so I can serve other people. Because again, if I'm sitting there afraid of technology, I'm being selfish by saying, I can't. Me. You don't understand. It's so difficult for me. It can be. Those are all true statements. They're all true statements. But if you allow yourself to stay there, then you never have the transition happening because you stay stuck on, well, I guess that's it for me. Think about it this way. Another quote by Dave Ramsey I love. He always says, when you discover you're the problem, that's the greatest discovery of all time, basically, because, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, because you're also a lot of the solution, right? So again, if your holdup is technology, if your holdup is, I don't know how to market myself, if your holdup is, I don't know how to sell my services appropriately, I don't know how to communicate well with people, I don't know how to write really well-written emails, things like this. If you start looking at it from that point of view, and then you say, well, if I solve those things, if I start learning how to do those things, I can better serve people. I can better communicate how I can help them. I can better help my family. I can better impact more people. I've had so many stories. I can go on and on about stories in my personal chef business that if I wouldn't have learned certain things, again, not for me, they always come back to you, by the way. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to start using some scripture here in a few minutes. But when I started looking at the things that I needed to learn and I started learning those things, what started happening was the impact not only grew, but the people that I was serving, just, it was better for them. And I started feeling more fulfilled. I started feeling less victim. And victimization in your mind is like a cancer. It is a cancer that will kill you before you even start. This podcast that you're listening to or that you're watching, it might not only resonate with you. I wonder if it's actually maybe even stinging a little bit. And it should sting a little bit. Anytime we feel sometimes pressured or with healthy offense and we're getting offended a little bit, but in a healthful way, okay? I'm not saying like in a derogatory sense, but in a I just don't want to hear it type of way, there's growth happening. There's growing pains, there's stretch marks, there's the things that hurt sometimes. And these things are part of the growth. And I want to challenge you that if you truly want to be successful in your own definition of what success is, with your family, with your relationships, with your business, in your personal life, even for you, your health, any area of your life, and you want to transition that mindset from chef to chefpreneur, or again, employee to entrepreneur, or even your old self and your new formidable self, mindset shifting is the first place to start. And again, it hurts to hear the truth. There's a scripture that the Apostle Paul would talk about, speaking the truth in love. The reason he said in love is because sometimes the truth sucks. It hurts. So I want to challenge you guys at the end of this, kind of podcast here as we kind of wrap up. I want to challenge you guys. Am I acting like a victim? Am I thinking selfishly? Am I not holding myself accountable? Am I blaming everyone else? Am I not thinking big enough? Do I have a small vision? Am I not looking at how big something in my life can impact others? I'm telling you, my friends, this is not only going to cause serious success in your life, it is going to cause serious fulfillment. There's been many times that I've been down in the dumps. Recently, I was going through some really, really hard times and had a high level of discouragement myself. High level of discouragement, if I'm being honest with you. But it was the calling on my life. It was the accountability. It was diving into the word and thinking about others, not about myself, and throwing myself a pity party and asking God, why this and why that? And I had to snap out of it. And you know what? One of the biggest things, and I'm going to continue to drive this on this podcast and for episodes to come, we all need community. We all need help. We all need other people to come alongside us and help us. Life was not meant to be lived alone. Even the Lord in the Word, when he was talking about Adam and Eve, he said that he created Adam, right, from the dirt. Okay, us men created from the dirt. But he says, it's not good. I want to give him a partner. I want to give him somebody. In your journey, wherever you are, as you're transitioning from chef to chefpreneur, you have to find community, whether that's a community of people, such as like the Chefpreneur movement, whether that's a coach, whether that's just even the people around you that can not only uplift you, but speak into your life, help hold you accountable, right? Help you understand how to be selfless instead of selfish, and how to think bigger so you can impact people. Now, I'm going to close with a couple other little stipulations here that not necessarily stipulations, but a couple other little factoids here. I understand that many of us have gone through things that are completely out of our control. In fact, I've said this so many times. I was just saying this on a coaching session the other day with a chef. Like, if I'm sitting at a red light and I'm waiting for the light to turn green and it's a red light and I'm just sitting there, I'm not moving, and another car blows through the intersection and just smashes into my car, that obviously is not my fault. It was out of my control, right? It was out of my control. But again, we go back to these three principles. Am I going to think selfless or selfish? Okay. Are the other people okay? Oh my God, I'm still alive. Oh my gosh, my family still has me. Yeah, my car's totaled. It's possessions. I could start thinking about accountability. Well, I can't be held responsible for what happened, but I am accountable to how I react to the situation. Am I going to now get myself all worked up in a mental frenzy where I'm going to go home and just tell everybody about how some guy bashed into me and the world sucks and this is just the last thing I needed right now in my life and blah, 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 and just go into this frenzy of this negative mentality? No, I'm going to hold myself accountable and I'm going to be responsible and say, listen, it was sucky circumstance. I will tell you the facts, but you know what? God is good and I'm moving forward. God is great and I'm moving forward. I am alive. I am 6 feet above ground, depending on how tall you are. I am not 6 feet under, and I live to breathe another day, which is more than a lot of people that are experiencing that same day, different things in their life. And then it's like maybe even looking at the situation with a positive mindset, like, man, that really sucked. But you know what? It got me to see that life is worth living. It got me to see that I'm more grateful. So through even this discouragement I was been, going through the last honestly 6 months or so, I really snapped out of it about 30 days ago. And again, I'm being very open, honest, and vulnerable here. I started realizing I have the control over my mind, that I can sit there and wallow in my discouragement, or I can start giving thanks to God. I can start looking at, man, I'm living, I'm breathing. I got a beautiful wife who loves me. I got 5 beautiful daughters who are amazing girls, and God is doing big things in their life. I got an amazing platform like Chefpreneur to help as many people as possible. I have purpose. I have fulfillment. I have an amazing church with an amazing community who loves me. I have amazing mentors who coach me and guide me and hold me accountable myself. There is so much to be thankful for. And so I just want to challenge you guys. Even though sometimes these circumstances we can't control, we can control how we react to them. And so I wanted to shift your guys' mindset into that. Think about bigger impact. Think about holding yourself more accountable and responsible. Instead of making excuses, make things happen. Instead of taking inaction on things because of a lack of certain things, start taking action on things. Don't wait right now to start impacting. Don't wait right now to start having that vision. Don't wait right now until you're all perfect. Get started. Get started. Get started. That's a word for someone right now. Get started. Start. Take a step. Don't look at the economy. Don't look at your past. Don't look at what happened yesterday, last week, last month. Don't look at all these factors. Look to the future. What can I do today? How can I start holding myself accountable today? How can I start serving other people selflessly to other people today? Instead of me, my, poor me, poor me, poor me. I'm telling you, successful people in all areas of life, and I'm not just talking about money, success in all areas of life, your marriage, your relationships with your children, with your spouses, every level, every single level of success starts with you and shifting the way your mindset is set on the things that are set on. It says set your mind, in the Bible says set your mind on things above. Stop pecking like a chicken, looking down all the time, peck, 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 only seeing 3 inches in front of you, 4 inches in front of you. Start thinking like an eagle, soaring like an eagle, looking at the bigger picture, looking at the impact, understanding that it's all in your mind. But I know that you guys can do it. I know if you're listening to this, you need to hear it. And I know that you can start taking steps towards that. This, again, is the step forward to true success. And whatever you define success to be in, your mindset has to shift first. Listen, I really want to thank you guys for tuning into this podcast today. I really, really appreciate just allowing you guys to hear me and listen to me. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribing and you're liking this video. If you're watching on, or listening to this on a podcast platform, make sure you subscribe there as well. Tune in every single week as we're going to have more episodes as well. If you ever need help with your personal chef business or you want to start a personal chef business, we have amazing resources here in the description below. Make sure that you guys check them out. And again, can't wait to see you guys all next week. Take care. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.